Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare. Gopi Janamalaba Yidivadadati Gopi Janamalaba Yidivadadati Yasodhanandana Raja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Raja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachare Yamuna Tira Banachare Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunja Bikhavati Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunja Bikhavati Gopi Nana Malaba Yidivadu Tauti Gopi Nana Malaba Yidivadu Tauti Iri Vadataut Yasodhanandana Praja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Ralu Madhuva Kunda Bikhavati Jaya Radho Madhuva Kunda Bikhavati Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Bound Acharya. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava. Vrindi ki jai. Acharya. Srila Thakur ki jai. Friends, say go. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadha. Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Bindi ki jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopinath. Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai. Mathuranam ki jai. Jagadada Swami ki jai. Simanamai ki jai. Srimati Tulasidevi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premananda. Hari Hari Bol. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya Budale. Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve. Gaurvani Pacharni. Nivashesha Shunyavadi. Paschatya Deshatarni. Big crowd here. Oh, the mouse. So Jagat will have to take care of it. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 73rd chapter, text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sapayam Karayamasa Sahadevena Bharata Naladevochatar Vastrair Pushanai Shrag Avilepanai Saparyam Karayamasa Sahadevena Bharata Naradevochatar Vastrair Ushanaya Shrag Vilepanai Saparyam Karehamasa Sahadevena Bharata Naradevochatar Vastrair Bhushanai Shrag Vilepanai Saparyam Karehamasa Sahadevena Bharata Naradevochatar Vastrair Ushanaya Shrag Vilepanai. Okay. Sapariyam, service. Kariham, asa, he had done. Sahadevena, by Sahadeva, the son of Jarasandha. Bharata, O descendant of Bharata. Naradeva, kings. Uchitai, befitting. Vastrai, with clothing. Bhushanai, ornaments. Shrak, flower garlands. Vilepanai, and sandalwood paste. Translation, O descendant of Bharata, the Lord then had King Sahadeva honor them with offerings of clothing, jewelry, garlands, and sandalwood paste, all suitable for royalty. So you can repeat, O descendant of Bharata, the Lord then had King Sahadeva honor them with offerings of clothing, jewelry, garlands, and sandalwood paste, all suitable for royalty. So there's no purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So Jiva Goswami has a short purport, and I'll comment on that. He had Sahadeva, Jarasanda's son, honor them with cloth and other items. O descendant of Bharata! Exclamation point. Shukadeva addresses Parikshit in joy, maintaining his own hopes concerning the Lord's affection for the lowly. So this is quite interesting, especially the commentary here. So Saparyam and Karyam asa, saha devene, devena bharata, naladevo chitaya rostraya, abu shanai shrug, vilepanai. So Om Gana Timiranda Shah, Ganan Jana Shalakya, Chakshur Unmiritam Yena, Tasmai Shi Gurave Namaha. So to hear that Shukadeva Goswami is feeling this great hope in his heart after hearing about Krishna's mercy towards these various kings, and also towards Sahadev, arranging for their cleansing, arranging for them to be put back in their particular positions. Shukadeva Goswami exhibiting an extreme mood of humility, first of all, is feeling great hope for himself. It's interesting. Shukadeva Goswami is a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and now he's feeling great hope for his own Krishna consciousness. So there's humility there, and something called hope. And we're going to be speaking about this today in reference to some other items that are connected with hope. But first I'd like to read something that gives us great hope from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I heard this verse this morning. Prabhupada was giving class, and reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was one of the really early classes that Prabhupada was giving. And there's one particular verse here. That's the first verse in the 21st chapter of the Madhya Leela. And it's, it's part of the invocation that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives at the beginning of each chapter. But this first verse is so inspiring. And I'm just going to read the verse, and then we'll talk about the subject matter. Agatakyeka gatim notva hinarthadika sadakam Sri Chaitanyam Likam Yasha Madhura Ishvarya Shikaram. Actually, let me read this in a word synonyms. You don't have to repeat. Agata Eka Gatim. To the only shelter for the conditioned souls who do not know the goal of life, Natwa offering obeisances, Hina Artha, of the necessities of the conditioned souls who are poor in spiritual knowledge, Adhika, increase, Sadakam, bringing about Sri Chaitanyam, unto Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Likam, I'm writing, Asha, of him, Madhurya Aishwarya, amazing, of the sweetness and opulence, Shikaram, a small portion. Listen to this. Offering my obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let me describe a particle of his opulence and sweetness. He is most valuable, interesting, for a fallen conditioned soul bereft of spiritual knowledge, and he is the only shelter for those who do not know the real goal of life. So, we'll start off like this. Faith in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, now I'd like to talk about something called great hope based on faith. And in the Nectar devotion, we have this quality that the devotees should cultivate in order, and it's connected with humility, and it's connected with faith, which we're going to be speaking about in a second, which is called Asha Bandha, which means hope against hope. Now, it's interesting that Prabhupada used this expression, hope against hope, generally to illustrate a situation where something was hopeless. If you go through Prabhupada's books, he says, you know, all these materialists, I'm just paraphrasing, they just say, hope against hope, they're going to be happy. In other words, it's a hopeless hope. That's how Prabhupada usually uses that word, which is interesting. It's a hopeless hope. The hope they're going to be, live forever, hope against hope. You know, so again and again, Prabhupada used that particular expression. But here, this particular expression is used differently. I'm going to read from the Nectar devotion. The strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of the conviction. So that's the key. Faith. You understand conviction? Does everybody understand? The word conviction means faith, trust, which we're going to speak about, because that's really the essential item in hope against hope, and having this great hope, which we're going to read about here. That one will certainly receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of God. In Sanskrit is called Asha Bandha. Asha Bandha means to continue to think, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. I am sure. There's that word sure and conviction in this particular paragraph. Interesting. In this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. So here, hope against hope is actually hopefulness. He says, I have no hope, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting, and the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart, is always lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge, and this is actually Rupa Goswami's actual opinion about himself. Remember, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, and here we're talking about Shukadeva Goswami in the verse. As far as the philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I'm not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Ballabha, Krishna, maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain. Try to understand that. Because I think myself quite incompetent to approach the transcendental goal of life. The purport is that under this heading of Asha Bandha, one should continue to hope against hope that some way or other he will be able to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in other words, one has to be humble and one has to have faith. These are two necessary ingredients. We're going to talk about faith. Of course, faith, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, is not just belief. I've often talked about this, that the, many Christians, not all Christians, of course, they say, we believe in the Lord and we're going to be saved. And my standard reply to them is that, you know, a criminal believes in what? The law. Does that make him an honest person? He certainly believes that the police exist, the law exists, the government exists, and he has to believe, otherwise he'd be a really inefficient criminal. Right? I mean, because you have to avoid the police. So, of course, when I mention that to some of these Christians who are preaching, you know, Jesus saved me, he died for my sins, no man is sinless, they don't know how to deal with that one. So, anyway, real faith is described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami as what? Shraddha Shabde Vishasha He Sujita Drida Nishya. That simply doing what Krishna wants, or having that faith conviction, doing what Krishna wants, everything will be accomplished. And of course, we should have this faith in Srila Prabhupada's instructions, in Srila Prabhupada's movement, and in the Vaishnavas, the pure Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada also defines faith in an interesting way. He says, unflinching trust in something sublime. That's interesting, isn't it? Sublime means it's not tangible. So that unflinching trust in something that's not tangible, at least that we can see and touch, that can be in Krishna consciousness, and that can be in the material world too. Like Krishna in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Divisions of Faith, he actually mentions that everybody has faith in something. And so, you know, the beginning of the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking the question, you know, if someone doesn't follow Shastra, scripture, is his faith in goodness, passion, or ignorance? And then we find that Krishna describes, according to one situation of the three modes of material nature, one develops a certain type of faith. But faith is always there. It's part of our nature. I mean, we have to have faith that, you know, let's say if we walk, we're not going to stumble and fall on our faces. I mean, so much faith is required just to live. We have to have faith that someone's good. The prasadam this morning doesn't have poison in it. Yeah, there's a little bit of, hopefully. I was just hearing a story about how the Mossad, you know the Mossad? The Jewish people, they actually arranged for someone to become a stewardess one time on an airplane and feed poisoned food to one of the people who were terrorists, and they died. So, in other words, sorry to bring that in. I thought it was interesting. So anyway, so according to faith, Krishna says we actually worship, not we, but people worship different living entities. You know, if you're in the mode of goodness, good demigods, right? Mode of passion, demons. Probably even said someone worshipped Hitler during World War II. Yeah, and the pervert. You know, some people worship, you know, very successful businessmen. You know, one time someone gave me a book about Elon Musk and said, you got to read this to understand how to be successful in life. And some people worship ghosts and spirits. It's just the modes of nature. I even had a disciple in, New Orleans, who was a voodoo queen. Of course, unfortunately, she attributed all of her expertise to her guru. Anyway, on the internet, and people were asking me, did you actually teach her voodoo? So, and of course, Without faith in Krishna, let's go back to Krishna because that's more important than the three modes of nature. There's many different quotes from the Bhagavad Gita how you cannot make spiritual progress. In the Gita 9:3, I have these quotes, beautiful quotes. What is that? Shradana Purashasha, Dharmashasha Paramtapa, Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who don't have faith in this process of devotional service, Dharmashasha Paramtapa, mighty armed Arjuna, Aprapyamam Nivartante, they cannot achieve Krishna, but what? Return to birth and death in this material world. And in the Gita 4:40, so many interesting verses. The doubting soul has no happiness in this world or the next. One who has doubts. In other words, just like you come to the temple and you doubt, is this real? Is it not real? What's it called? Kamala Shraddha. Like your Kanishta. Is it real? It's not real? Then you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy now or in the next. Actually, it's sort of in between, twixt and in between, that you can't be happy materially and you can't be happy spiritually. You're in a terrible position there. Of course, at least you come into the temple. Next life, you at least go to the heavenly planets or something like that. And then it's an interesting verse. And 1728 of the Gita, it states that anything done, sacrifice, austerities, penances, without faith in the Supreme is useless. That's also a really important verse. The Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, describes what transcendental faith is, pretty much in the line of Shraddha Shabde Vishasa Kahe Sudrida Nishya. This is in a verse, 828 of the Gita, where Gita says, a person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So that reminds me of the faith that we have to have in chanting the holy names. That, we hear this verse again and again and again, that Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vira Purnashura Nichimukto Vinatvam Nama Namino, that Krishna is there, 100% there in his holy names. Yet we're not really attentive while we're chanting. We're not really faithful, understanding that, accepting that. Because if we were, we'd be 100% attentive. You understand? So we have to have that faith. Everything is there in the holy names. I remember my dear godbrother Jayananda, whose disappearance day we celebrated a little while ago. That was his class. Every class was like that. You got to have faith in the name. You got to have faith in the holy name. And of course, we don't advocate as far as faith in Krishna consciousness, not blind faith, but we have to have faith that is, let's say, inculcated by intelligence and good association. So even the faith in the spiritual master, we have to utilize our intelligence. Prabhupada said blind following absurd inquiries are condemned in the Bhagavad Gita. So if we perform devotional service without faith, without attention, that's called niyamagraha, and that can actually be detrimental. So, and actually some more verses. I get a lot of verses from the Bhagavad Gita that 624, Krishna says, one must engage in yoga, bhakti yoga, with undeviated determination and faith. So we have some examples of devotees who reached perfection, who had that undeviating faith, who weren't perfect before, at least ostensibly weren't perfect. We have Narada Muni, who had strong faith, even a little boy. This shows that faith can move mountains or faith can accomplish anything. He had strong faith in these sages. He was a little boy, 5 years old, serving the sages during the 4 months of the rainy season. And during that time, he took initiation, 5 years old, took initiation from them, served them prasadam, and had strong faith. Because of that strong faith, then he achieved the great status of Narada Muni. And we have Prahlad Maharaj, of course, who showed such great faith that he was able to continue with an equipoised mind, despite of being attacked by his father. So, another example we have of someone who had that faith and achieved perfection was the illiterate Brahmin that Prabhupada always gives the example of. The illiterate Brahmin was given the instruction. He had faith in his guru. What is that verse? Yasha Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tashaite Katita Prakashante Mahatmana. That if one has that implicit faith in Krishna and the Vedic literatures and the Guru, then everything is revealed to him. So this Brahmana, he had faith in his Guru's instructions, which were to read the Bhagavad Gita, even though he was illiterate, or at least couldn't speak Sanskrit or read Sanskrit. And because he had that faith, he actually was experiencing these emotions of ecstasy, crying when he was reading the Bhagavad Gita. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that you were the true knower of the Bhagavad Gita because you had that faith. So this is really important. So anyway, and other benefits of having faith is actually some more Bhagavad Gita verses. 4:9, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. If one understands, that means has faith in Krishna's activities and appearances in this world, Puna Janma Naiti Mameti Sojana. One will not take birth again in this world. And in Gita 18:71, it says, anyone who hears the Bhagavad Gita with faith goes back to God with no envy, goes back to Godhead. So much benefit having faith. Gita 4:39, you can look up these verses later on. You're probably taking notes, that's good. It says the faithful man absorbs transcendental knowledge and he attains the supreme peace. So the question is, how do we get this faith? This trust. We see Shukadeva Goswami, he's exhibiting that right now when he's speaking to Parikshit Maharaj in this particular verse. He has this Ashabandha, which is built on faith and humility. Remember, two things, faith and humility, very important qualities. So number one, we can get faith by associating with devotees who have full faith, like Srila Prabhupada. And when I hear from Srila Prabhupada, and I generally listen every morning to one of Srila Prabhupada's classes. I mean, that's why I came up with this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I just thought, when I heard that verse, I said, there's hope for me. I'll read the verse again. Actually, it's such an inspiring verse. Whoops. First verse in the 21st chapter, and I think it would behoove the devotees to sometimes read this verse over and over again. How if you take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just implicitly, put my glasses on, it says, he is most valuable for a fallen conditioned soul bereft of spiritual knowledge. So, that's how I feel about myself, bereft of spiritual knowledge. And he's the only shelter for those who do not know the real goal of life. It's so inspiring if you have faith in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So anyway, so you associate with devotees, you hear from Prabhupada, hear from the pure devotees, and then the faith develops. Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Katadja Joshana Dasu Apavarga Vartmani Shrida Ratya Bhakti Anukramashati. It enters into your heart. The bhakti, lata bij enters into your heart. Another way is that we actually cultivate Krishna consciousness, and of course we have Prachaksha Vagamam Dharmam Shushukam Kartamavyam. And in order to properly cultivate Krishna consciousness, we have to cultivate the mode of goodness too. Really important. Some people may say that, oh, the mode of goodness is not important. They may quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Well, it's entangling, but it actually helps one develop that trust and faith by cultivating the mode of goodness. Just like recently, I was doing most of the preaching in Sydney, Australia, and everybody's houses are so close, there's no lawn, isn't it? Sydney, I was thinking. So in the morning, I just go out into the park to cultivate the mode of goodness. And there's birds there, birds. And in Sydney, they have these most beautiful birds. You ever see them when you went there? No. The parks are amazing. And anyway, these white, beautiful birds and the chirping. Of course, I'll probably become a bird in the next life. But it's simply amazing. And then you cultivate, and you cultivating the mode of goodness, you chanting. It really helps with developing faith and connection to Krishna. So another way one can develop faith is by seeing how Krishna is always protecting you and maintaining you. Of course, traveling like a sannyasi is not exactly for everybody. Like Prabhupada, Abhaya Asam Shuddhi Jnana Yoga Vavastiti. Prabhupada said this verse describes a sannyasi. Prabhupada, just having faith in the words of his spiritual master, coming to a foreign country, having no money, isn't that faith? I mean, otherwise, if you ask me to go to a foreign country with no money, nobody received me, nobody to cook for me, what else? Nobody give me donations. I say, hell no. And so, that's so much faith. And that proves, it's not time yet, it proves Srila Prabhupada's exalted position of having implicit faith in the words of his spiritual master. Wait a second, I'm almost finished, okay? Okay, so faith in us, we can see if we have faith by examining different things. Do we have faith in the holy names? Do we have faith in the words of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual master? Faith in the Vedic literatures? Faith in the process of devotional service? Faith in prasadam, like Jayananda Prabhu. We were talking about Jayananda. He really had faith in prasadam. I mean, that was his secret weapon, his brahmastra, prasadam. And faith that Krishna is protecting us and maintaining us in our daily lives. Krishna's going to give us enough to eat. And if he doesn't, that's his prerogative. Faith that whatever he does is good for us. Like we were reading in Sydney, this one verse from the Bhagavatam, where Grandfather Bhishma says, no one can understand the plan of the Lord. So I gave up when I read that. I can't understand it. But then I thought about it. Yeah, you understand. The plan is whatever he does is for the best. For his enjoyment, and whatever he does to you, for you. Whatever he does to you is for you, for your benefit. So that's the faith. It's not that, if you get in a car accident or you get cancer or something, what happened to Krishna? I don't have any faith in him. That's his arrangement. Yomam pashati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashati dashaham na pranashami sachame na pranashati. One has to see Krishna everywhere and have that faith. It's for the best. It's for the best. Unless it's you did something wrong. We always mention that. Unless you're so foolish, like the devotees died in a car accident, and some devotee said to Prabhupada, it's Krishna's mercy, and Prabhupada said, no, it was their foolishness. So, obviously, things we have no control of, we have faith that that's Krishna. So, we had a question, yeah. No, but we can cultivate it. It doesn't force itself, and you can't force yourself to have it. But if you decide you want to have faith, you can cultivate it by the right association and avoid the bad association. What's that? Yeah. Well, that's their choice. That's their choice, and it's also association to like for example, I've seen devotees who previously had a glimmer of faith, and they listened to the Ritviks. Ritviks? No, you don't know what Ritviks are. There's like little froggies. Ritvik, 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 Ritvik. Springtime, they come out. So then their faith, because they had Kamalashrat, a very weak faith, their faith disappears in their spiritual master. And this is quite dangerous. Or the example Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives, if one hears a Sarirakya Bhasha commentary by Shankaracharya, his devotional service is spoiled. That means his faith is just like wiped out. So, yes, one has to have that humility and hear. If one hears nicely, but if one doesn't hear nicely, the faith won't develop. So you may be talking to two people, and one is in one ear, out the other ear. Or, they're just questioning everything you say. But if people hear what you say, repeating Prabhupada's words, with an open mind, they will develop faith. Open mind, ready to wanting to understand things. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think the clock needs to be changed. I noticed that during Mangalarti. It's 2 minutes fast on the altar. If you could, maybe you need another clock.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayatapsam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalem Kriya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusha
Hare Purusham. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Talay Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaniki Nomante Nupadaya Mate Namaste Parvati Devi Gurvani Machar Naked Say Shah Shunyavadi Vashachati Saturday Invitation Jai Sri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Nanda Judwaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaurmakta Vrindaya Sri Krishna Dvaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaurmakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Nana Ramanachanana Dvaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaurmakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Chinaita Siva Sadi Gaurmakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Puri Hate. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana, Goloka Nana, Radhe. Radhe Goloka Nana, Goloka Nana, Radhe. Radhe, 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 Radhe. Not hey, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Shri Radhe, Jai Om.
It's raining today, but it's going to be sunny on Saturday. So please come to Harinam and at 5 Points in Durham, and it's going to be at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock Saturday evening. And it's always nice at 5 Points. Please come. Chaitodarbhanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreyakai Ravya Chandrika Vitaranam. Thank you, Prabhu. Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamritas Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahada Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Vanmamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Charorapi Suhishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajigadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rohaitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajachim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadadashu Daraya Vadanam Gadgadudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayutam Namishena Chakshusha Bhavishayatam Shunayatam Shatam. Thank you. Yavindam Rahiname Ashlishyava Padamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marmahatakarotuva Yatatava Viradatulam Pato Matprananatatusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Sri Shastrika Ki Jai.